What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Friday Dunkin' Junk live stream. We got a pretty fun one for you today, I think. If you are not familiar with this product, it's called SpinGems. Let me switch to the casting view. And it's like an additive kind of thing. And it looks like, like rock, like stone. So I've used other things in the past. I used to sell some pen blanks that were I called them granite. Let me switch to the intro view here. And they were a little bit they were simple, but they did the job and it's kind of a cool thing. And then I found out that Bradley McAllister, who runs SpiroCraft.com, he had these SpinGems. And it's a product made by Craft. They have resins and different stuff. I think they're kind of heavy into the fishing lure making kind of thing and some other things. And so I said, hey, could you send me out some to try it out? I was thinking about switching to something else with those granite blanks anyway, and he sent these a long time ago, and I feel really bad. I haven't really had time to really play with them, so I was thinking about it, and it occurred to me on Wednesday that I had these, and I thought, let's do this on Friday. I think you guys will enjoy this. It's a kind of a cool, different material. So, hey, thanks, Anna. I appreciate it. €5, what is that? Euros. I was going to say pounds. €5. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, let's see here. I'm trying to think. There's a couple other little announcements and things. We'll go through. I'm not necessarily any kind of expert at any of this stuff with this product. I've never really used it before, especially for the stone look. But they also have some like really bright, let's see if that's going to work with the lighting, like really bright colors. So I got a couple of them as well. And I think they're like some sort of a composite material. I got sticky stuff all over my fingers here. There's some sort of like a composite material, and they come pre-packaged. They have a bunch of different colors. They have a bunch of different stone types, and so we'll just kind of play with it. I'll kind of share some things that I've found using a similar type product in the past. I have a couple of tips I think that will kind of help you guys out. And then, but I just want to see how these things look, so it should be pretty fun. So the game plan for today, we're going to do I have a mold warming up right now. This is my deep silicone mold, just single blank one. I think that you're much better off with a deeper mold to pour them thicker than you would normally pour a pen blank. We also have some PVC pipes. We're going to try that out. Again, they're a little bit bigger than normal, and I'll kind of go into that when we get into this. And depending on how everything goes, we may do a brick mold of some. I'm not sure if I have enough of this stuff. This stuff is kind of better like on a smaller, like smaller pieces, smaller blanks in a sense, because, you only have so much in a jar. So it kind of makes sense to try to preserve some of the material. But anyway, so we have a couple little things. If for anybody that's not, hey, Spiro Craft, there's Bradley. For anybody that's not familiar with Bradley McAllister or Spiro Craft is a website. They have all kinds of turning tools and goodies, resins and stuff on their website. So head over to spirocraft.com if you want to, at the end of this, if you want to pick some of this stuff up. And I totally dropped this I literally texted Bradley like an hour before I started this thing, and I'm like, hey, can we get a discount code? And he's so generous that he said yes. And I need to look it up. I think it's NVW15. Let me look it up real quick. He's right there. He can tell me too. The code is NVW15. So that'll save you 15% off, and he's running that for 24 hours. So kind of a, get in there and try this stuff out if you think it might be something that you want to try out. So there's the code, and you'll enter that at checkout. But I also want to mention, so I met Bradley for the first time when I was demoing. I wore this Easy Wood Tools shirt, I didn't actually even think about this when I pulled it out, but I met him when I demoed in Portland at the AAW Symposium for Easy Wood Tools. He was demoing as well, and so he's awesome. He does demos all over the country at the woodworking shows. He's been turning for many years. He's a master, artisan basically. So he does some live streams he does a Monday Methods, he calls it. and I think it's at 10 a.m. Eastern time. But he kind of goes through and shows you some kind of a technique for turning, and it's really awesome. So you have those live streams. He's been, because the woodworking shows have been canceled, he's not doing the actual demos live there. He's been recording stuff for that. So he's got a bunch of those on his website, and he's actually going to be doing one on Grex, I forget, hold on a minute, let me look at this. Yeah, the airbrushes and Chromacraft paints and stuff. So he's going to be doing a live stream tomorrow also. So let me toss a couple of links into the little chat here. So here's just the Spiro Craft one. Let's see, let me find the right thing here. So here's Spiro Craft's website, and all this stuff is down in the show notes. Spiro Craft, you can just search for SpinGems, 2 words on there. And here is the Spiro Craft channel, YouTube channel. He also does you can catch the live streams on Facebook and YouTube. I'm just going to put the YouTube one here since we're on YouTube. So there's his channel. He's got all kinds of good videos and like live stream stuff. And let's see here. And I also pulled up a direct link to the SpinGems on Spiro Craft's website. So they got all kinds of good stuff. And like I said, Bradley's a good dude. If you aren't following him, if you don't, haven't subscribed to his channel, haven't seen what he does, I really recommend, if you're a turner, go and follow him, because he's got all kinds of really good information. Plus, he's just a cool guy. So anyway, there's my little spiel. Welcome, Bradley, to the chat. And again, thank you for hooking us up with the discount on this stuff. And again, that's going to be 24 hours. So make sure, after the stream's over, if you want to pick some up, head over there. It'll be good for 24 hours. So a couple other little announcements and things to show you. So I didn't get a chance to actually do any more polishing on this. I wanted to kind of go through and give this a little bit more time. But if you didn't see Wednesday's stream, let me turn my doohickey around so I can see if I'm on the camera here. So here is I guess I don't really need to use this because I'm going to resand it anyway. Here is the aluminum crinkle sphere. Man, this thing turned out so wicked. I love it. It's because of the shape, you got round edges everywhere. And because there's spiraling and all kinds of craziness going on, this thing just turned out really awesome. Really happy with this thing. And I'm really happy with the way the interference powder turned out. I gotta be honest, I need to go back and watch how I did this because it's perfect. It was the right amount, and it put it exactly kind of where I wanted it in the blank. So very happy with that. I do want to give it a little bit more time. It's not bad, and I could probably say it's good enough, but it's a little bit dull in a few areas, which means that there's some scratches basically in it still. It should be popping after that car polish, and there's a few dull areas. So I'm going to go back and do a little bit more wet sanding and polishing, and then I'm going to hit it with the buffing and the car polish, and it should be fantabulous. The other thing I'm going to do is also I'm going to turn a little stand from it, probably from I don't have a camera over there, from the rest of the material. I'll probably do that kind of same thing, similar to how I did on the Jawbreaker sphere. But pretty fun project. It turned out good. The Carter jig worked pretty well. Yeah, so the stream was a little bit, I was a little worried. It was that watching somebody use a sphere jig in real time is not the most exciting wood turning video, so I apologize if it was a little boring. So we did I'm sitting there messing with a sphere jig and then sanding. That was the whole stream. But if you go back and watch it, if you missed it, I would recommend just put it on 2x speed and kind of, go through there, maybe stop here and there and see what I'm saying. But it was pretty fun. So what was the other thing that I was going to say? There was one other thing. Oh, and I have I have drawn the winner of the mold giveaway redo video. So make sure to watch on Sunday to see if you won the molds. This time it worked perfectly this time. We had almost 600 comments on that video, so it's almost 600 entries into that giveaway. So it obviously was a success this time, and we have one winner, and I'll be announcing that in a video on my YouTube channel on Sunday. So let me stop and see, and you guys have been talking a while. So Julie's here, Ray, Christina, Jen, Kevin Carpenter's here too, and Amber. Man, I'm just gonna kind of scroll through here, but who else is here? Everett's here. Chris is here. Nice. Pete's shop. Man, lots of people. So, welcome to the stream. So let's get going here. I think the first thing that we're going to do, let's go with the pen blank mold. And let's see here. So there's not going to be as much, you know, like colors and things that we're going to do, but we're going to try and fill some of this. The thing is, I don't know exactly how much resin and stuff, how far this stuff is going to go, because I haven't used it, and I haven't even used the other stuff for a while. So, and I don't think I've done it in those. When I was making the blanks, I would just mix up a big batch and dump it in one of these big ones. So I don't know the exact amounts that we really need right now, and we're just going to kind of have fun with this stuff. And we'll fill up what we can and kind of mix up what whatever amounts. So let's see here, 600, I know, it was 600, yeah. So the funny thing was, the first giveaway, I wasn't sure, you know, they were pen blank molds. And, you know, a lot of people, not everybody's a pen turner, and a lot of people don't necessarily, some people don't even turn that watch my channel. So I wasn't sure if, you know, how popular, how in demand pen blank molds, because that's kind of what they are, would be. In general, most people want to win something anyway, so they usually enter, but, you know, I wasn't sure if it was going to be a big giveaway, but we ended up with, like, you know, only 2 people got entered on the first one. And I mean, really, and there was a bunch of people that spelled the thing wrong, the hashtag, but there wasn't that many, and I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. So this one's a lot better. Pretty excited. Let's see here. Okay, so let's switch to this view. So what I'm going to do here, let's go with, I'm personally interested, because I might start making some pen blanks with this stuff. So I want to go with granite. All right, that was one of the ones that I was really interested in. And there's all kinds, it's kind of a mixed like sizes and all this stuff. And I'm sure that Bradley probably has more information. If I'm kind of messing something up, he might kind of chime in. But you know, it's basically these little chunks of some sort of composite material, all different kind of sizes and a little bit of, you know, some different colors. So it should be pretty cool. And basically what you want to do is, it's kind of meant to be mixed like 50-50. So you would add one part of, you know, this stuff to one part of resin. That makes it kind of easy for volumetric resin ratios. You know, if you're using a volume, if you're using a resin that goes by volume, it kind of makes it a little bit simpler when you're adding something like this, like 1-to-1. I think that I can kind of judge it just looking at this jar, and we'll just kind of mix up about the same amount of resin. And I don't know, there may be other ways to do this smarter, but I'm using Alumilite Clear Slow Set, which is a by weight measurement. So I'm just going to kind of mix up a little bit, and we're just going to run with it. So up in the top corner, where is it? Right up there. Whoop, whoop. You can see what I'm doing a little bit, and it should be pretty fun. So one thing that I want to mention is, and if you guys didn't see the stream on Wednesday, Doug sent me, a lot of you guys probably know about this, but Doug sent me this tool, handy dandy tool, and I wasn't exactly sure how it worked, and so I didn't use it, and I totally should have. So go back and watch the end when I take my chuck off. And I actually hurt my hand. I actually cut my hand when I was doing it, and this tool would have totally eliminated that. So it basically locks into where you use the tightening thing on your chuck, and that way you get a little leverage, and it's perfect for if you have something in the chuck. You know, you don't want to take that out, but if your chuck's kind of stuck on there, this gives you a little bit of leverage. It goes in the little keyhole, and you just pull it off, and it was perfect. It was actually kind of a perfect commercial, I guess, in a sense, because I was like having trouble getting my chuck off, and then I'm like, Doug sent me something that probably would have worked for this. I couldn't exactly figure out what was going on real quick. So it's a cool tool. So make sure to head over. I think there might be a link in the show notes already to that from the last video. So he's got them available on Etsy. It's one of those tools for turners that's stupid simple, but you know, I think it's one of the greatest tools ever. Like, we all have problems getting our chuck off. And you know, if you have nothing in the chuck, you know, you could put wood or something in the jaws, but I think having that little tool is like the best way to go. That's perfect. Yeah, it's a really good tool. I think that's something that, I mean, realistically, that's the kind of tool that should come with a lathe. Like, Like, come on, guys, you know, or with your chuck or something. So, okay, so let me pull out my little notebook thingy. So I'm gonna just estimate, one thing, so I was alluding to, I'm using the deeper molds on that silicone, and I have some, these are 8-inch tall PVC pipes. Usually I would just use, I don't know exactly how tall these are, but they're somewhere around 6 or something. So I went with a little bit longer pen tube, or PVC pipe. And the reason for that is you're going to be mixing a bunch of junk, rocks and things, solids in, like a lot of it in with resin, and it's going to be kind of pasty. And what ends up happening is you end up kind of trapping. There's going to be a lot of air, small little air bubbles, but there's a lot of them in between all these rocks that don't really have a way to get out of the cup. And so what you do is you pour this mixture in, and it's, yay high when you pour it. But when you actually put it in the pressure pot and demold it, all of that air goes away, and you end up, with a much thinner blank in the end than what it looked like when you poured it in. So with anything like this, where you're tossing a ton of material in with resin, you want to make sure that you have extra room, because it's going to compress down. It's not really compressing it. It's just you're going to lose all that air that's in between, and it's going to end up a lot shorter. So that's one big tip that I found out when I was doing this. Make sure to, pour it thick. That way you don't end up with, you're thinking you're going to come out with like a 3/4 inch blank, and it ends up like 1/2 inch because you didn't know. And some of this you're going to have to kind of experiment with. It just, like, I don't exactly know. I haven't made those types of blanks for a while now, so I can't even tell you like specific numbers offhand. I'm just going to kind of wing it here, and we'll see what we get. But I'm definitely going for more than I normally would when a volume in that mold. All right, so hopefully that made some sense. Solve world hunger. And now he's working with rocks. That's funny. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm trying to remember, like, I don't think in terms of volumes necessarily, but I want to say that, like, I'm going to mix up 100 grams of resin, I think. So 50 part A, 50 part B. I'm going to see what that looks like. And I'm going to be using a bigger cup than that one, but we're going to go for 100 grams, and we're just going to kind of see how much volume that is. And what I'm also going to do is we're going to pour this whole jar into this cup. All right. There's a little bit of dust there. So that tells you how much volume this stuff is, and we want like about an equal amount of volume of resin to mix with that. And again, this one is the granite version. There's all kinds of different ones. So he sent me a bunch of different ones. This one's called cinnamon brown. You can see there's some kind of like cinnamon, like red kind of colored stuff in there. I guess I should have done this at the beginning. This one's called Tuscan green. It looks like I think I fixed my picture, because that's way better than it used to look. Let me know if you guys in the chat are seeing a much better, clearer picture, because it looks like it on my screen. But anyway, Tuscan green. And so it's got some kind of like jade looking colors. It's also got a little bit of red in there in the small chunks. So interesting mixtures of stuff. And then this one's called Gold Mine. And there's probably even more cool stuff down in here once you kind of mix it in. But it looks like there's some little speckly kind of gold looking chunks, some white, gray. So interesting mixtures. I think that, there's a lot of room for some cool stuff, and they have lots of different mixes of these things. And those are the stone type. And then, like I said, they also have these like vibrant colors where it's just one color. And Bradley sent me some pink, some green, and lime green. I'm dropping some out, and a yellow as well. So pretty cool looking. We'll have a little bit of fun with these solid colors in a minute. So I'm going to zero out my scale. It comes across as purple. I don't know. Which one came across as purple? This one? The pink? Maybe it's just the light, but my gloves are purple. The SpinGems are pink. Okay, so zeroing the scale out. Again, we're going to be using Alumilite Clear Slow Set. If you haven't been around on the stream lately, so I'm now an affiliate for Alumilite. They just set up an affiliate program. I'm super excited because you guys know that I always have recommended Alumilite. I use it in my products. I like it the best. And now they have an affiliate program set up where I can, if you guys use my link, you guys can help support me. But one of the really cool things about their affiliate program is they also gave me a code. Let's see, and I think it's Zach10. I think there's a thing in the show notes. I'm pretty sure it's Zach10. If you use that code, I need a little bit of clarification. I'm still waiting for a response from them. I don't imagine that this is the case, but they say that for your first time, so I'm guessing that code is good for one time you get 10% off your order. What my question was, I wanted some clarification on this. I don't think that it means like if you've ever ordered from Alumilite.com, it's invalid. I think it's a one-time use code is that's the only thing that makes sense to me. But I am waiting to find out on that. But so the links are in the show notes. So if you need Alumilite or, like they have all kinds of stuff, the dyes, the resin they have, and they have good silicones too. So Alumilite.com, big thank you to them. That's really awesome to help kind of support me, as well. And there's a few other people that I know of. I'm pretty sure Jake's in it and a couple other people. I'm not entirely sure who all's in the affiliate program off the top of my head. So let's get started. First thing I need to do, I'm a little bit all over the place today, guys. All right, so we're using SpinGems. I'm making notes here, so I'm going to come over here. And I make notes so that I can go back and, see what I did. It's good for repeatability, but it's also, if you're experimenting with stuff, keep notes about how much, resin you use, what type of resin, what mold, all that kind of stuff. And if you run into problems or if you think you should change things, it's much easier to not have to remember, using your memory, what you did. Just write all the information down so that you can kind of tweak it on the next one. Maybe go back into your notebook and let's say something went wrong. If you know what happened, then make a note and say, don't do that again. Change this or that. Okay, so the first one, again, we're going to be making pen blanks. We're going to use this mold. I don't know exactly what the dimensions are of these slots. Let me go get a thing. I think they're about like 6 inches by probably about an inch wide. About an inch wide, about 5.5 long, and these are pretty deep. They're 1.5 inch deep, which I like. And again, for something like this, we need more height in our mold because it's going to kind of condense a little bit. So we got that thing. So I'm going to put down, let's see here, number 1, we're doing the, I'm just going to say silicone pen blanks, silicone mold. We're going to use the pink silicone mold and slow set clear Alumilite. So I want to say that we're going to mix up about 100 grams total, and we're going to see how that goes. So 50 times 2. And then we're going to add our SpinGems granite version. Again, granite. Yeah. Granite. We're going to dump the whole thing in there. All right, so zeroed out, 50 grams of part A. Yeah, 52.6, close enough. So I'll add 52.6 part B. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can, unfortunately the camera's not at the same level. And it's kind of angled, so this is not the greatest camera view, but if I put it on the table, actually, here's a good way to do it. So I'm going to mark on the cup. I'm going to try and kind of get this as flat as possible, as even. you know, the cup over here is right there, and 100 grams. So that's pretty close. That was a good estimate, I would say. I'm gonna kind of hold them. I don't know what the best way. The best way is to move the camera, but I can't really do that. So I think we are going to. I'm going to add a little bit more resin. Now that I'm looking at this, the resin is like just slightly below that. So I'm going to go back to my notebook, and I want to write down that we had 52.6 times 2 on that first thing. I'm going to add another 10 grams of each. So we're going to end up with 62.6 part A, 62.6 part B, okay? So I guess it doesn't really matter which one you do, but 10 grams of part A here. And went a little over on the part B. So now let me look at this. That's about dead even, I think. I think we're good to go. So so in total, it ended up being about 11 times 2 on the second one. So that's 22 grams total, and 52.6 times 2 is 105. So in total, we're at about 107, I guess. No, 105, sorry, 105 plus 22, 127. Math on the fly is not working today. So, you know, about 130, you could probably say 150 grams of resin, you know, alumilite anyway, 150 to, you know, one of these jars. In fact, let's just do that. That's a nice round number. So we're at 127. So we need about another 12 grams of each. So we're just going to end up with, after doing this little experiment, I would say that a good number is probably about 150 per jar of this stuff. So let's add another 10 grams. Part A. We'll just see how this all works out. Sometimes you just got to experiment. So we got 10. And let's see where we're at here. Perfect. Okay. So again, about 100. Oh, I already got a little mixing stick. I'm gonna mix this guy up here. And scrape the bottom, the sides of the cup real well. You want to make sure you've got it mixed properly, or else you could have some problems curing and other issues that you just don't want. One of the big issues, if for some reason there's like a little glob of part A or part B that was unmixed, but everything else was mixed up, when you pour this into your mold, you can have like an air. A lot of people think it's like an air pocket, and realistically, it's just a glob of resin that was uncured, and you know the rest of the resin formed around it. So if you have a little like wet glob in the middle of your blank, that's probably caused by a piece of part A or part B that wasn't cured, or I mean that wasn't mixed up and didn't cure in there. So that's kind of a little side tip, you know, if you need to diagnose a problem, that would be the cause of that most likely. You need to watch out if you have other materials, you know, pine cones or other random stuff. That may not be the case. It may be something else, but for just straight resin blanks, if you got little globs of wet stuff, then that means that you didn't mix it properly. Okay, so it's mixed up, and at this point, all I'm going to do is dump all of this into my cup, and I'm going to do it a little bit slow. I'm going to pour, you know, I'm going to kind of mix it in slow as we go. But you want to get this all, you know, you want to get this all mixed up. You want resin to be all over your little granite nodules. So let me stop real quick. We're about maybe half the cup. Look at that. I mean, just I can already tell in the cup that it's going to look like rock, you know. That was the one thing. This looks a lot more natural than the other stuff that I was using. It was a little bit more kind of bland and just generic. This has more stuff going on, and that's why I was really interested when I saw this stuff. Because I think that if you're really going for granite, I mean, this is going to make it look like, what are the countertop things? What are those? I can't think of the word. What are those things called? Little help. The time delay with me asking a question and waiting for the chat is horrible on something like this. And I know you guys all know what I'm talking about. What is that stuff? I have some over there. I can go get one if you need a visual aid. Pour a little bit more in. And like I said, I'm just trying to kind of get this stuff nice and mixed. Now, one thing to think about is some of these chunks are going to kind of sink. And so you kind of have, this is one of those cases where, you know, you'd want to kind of wait for the resin to thicken and get to the end of the working time, but it's already going to be relatively thick, right? So that may cause other issues waiting till it's even thicker. Corian, yes, Corian. There you go. So I think that's really what this is going to look like. You know, and those come in all kinds of different sizes, but it's effectively, I mean, it's the same thing as Corian. It's all that Corian is, as far as I know. It's you know, probably like an epoxy or something like that. That's about it. So, I mean, look at that. That's pretty awesome. I mean, that looks like stone. This looks like we were just out up in Tahoe, and this is exactly what the granite rocks up in Tahoe look like. There's all kinds of little speckles and different stuff. I mean, I can already tell this is going to be awesome. Now I just need to talk to Bradley and figure out how much what kind of a discount I can get when I buy it by the kilo. Julie, you got your first video? Where's your first video at? On YouTube? So I think what I'm going to do, this is actually pretty thin. And so especially because there's like different densities, different sizes of chunks, I think what I'm going to do is what would end up happening if I just dumped this into the mold as it is. The bigger chunks are most likely the heavier ones are probably going to sink to the bottom, and you're just going to have like big, medium, and small things on the top, which I don't want. I want to kind of keep this fairly homogeneous. Is that the word that I'm looking for? You know, where it's mixed up, basically. Bradley. Buying it by the kilo, man. Woo! I got the stuff. Yeah, these are cool. I'm definitely, you know, I don't know that I'm going to have one of each type of the, you know, there's lots of different choices, but these granite ones for sure. I'm down with that. I want to add that to my store. So I'm going to keep an eye on the temperature. I think what I'm going to do, and again, a lot of this can come down to testing. I'm at 83 degrees right now, so we got a ways to go. But I think what I'm going to do is let's go for fairly hot, on the hotter end of things. Let's try pouring this, and even if we wait, it may not make any difference. I'm not 100% sure. That other product that I used, it was all more kind of the same size particles of stuff for the most part, so this is a little bit different. And I don't know if Bradley has any suggestions for this. But I'm going to try, we're going to shoot for, on the hot end, let's see if we can wait. I'm going to kind of monitor this, but let's see if we can wait till like 115 degrees. I mean, that's kind of at the upper end with Alumilite clear. Let's wait as long as we can. A lot of times I'll chicken out because, you know, I don't want to blow the entire pour, but I do want to kind of test the boundaries here and get it. What I'm trying to do is get it as close to the point where it's going to just lock in place as possible, which means, you know, the end of the working time. We need it to be pretty warm. That'll tell us that it's about to like fully set up. So we'll just have to kind of sit and wait for a minute here. Let's see. I'm trying to see if Julie said the video. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing what the deal was. So is the video up? Or... Hey, how's it going, Glitch? How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Hugh is here. What's up, man? Oh, so just make it thicker. So maybe what I would want to do is add less resin to this, maybe? Is that what you're saying? Because this is pretty thin right here. Or are you saying keep it in the cup until it's kind of like thick and then pour it? Randy, how's it going? Yeah, we got to go out. We went out. Nevada hasn't really been affected as much, and they're starting to open things back up a little bit. But they've kind of, you know, like most of the outdoorsy things are kind of open. We went up to Tahoe. There's this trail that, I don't know when they opened it, but it's just the kind of walking path trail thing along the east side of the lake. And it was a pretty nice day. It was a little bit chilly, you know, it wasn't like, could have been a little bit warmer, I would say, but it was kind of nice because, you know, there's hills and stuff, and you got a little sweaty here and there. So I guess it was kind of nice that it was a little bit on the cooler side than hot, but it's a really nice day. Do like my days off. And getting out doing something. So we're at 88 degrees. We got a ways to go, guys. Is there a temperature? No, you know, it really depends. People always ask, what temperature do you pour at with Alumilite? And it really depends on your situation. You know, it depends on the ambient temperature in your shop. It depends on, you know, what you're trying to do a lot of times. For color swirl blanks, it really depends on how you pour it, I think. But in general, you know, you want to wait longer. One little tip, one little trick, if you're trying to suspend things, you know, let's say that you're trying to suspend something in this pipe. What I do is I will make it longer than you need. Like, let's say you're making a 5-inch blank or something like that. That's what you need. Pour another inch or two, you know, depending. Like on a vertical is a little bit easier, I find, to suspend things like that. But that way, if the stuff kind of sinks to the bottom, then, you know, okay, so you have like an inch on the top that you just need to cut off where there's nothing in it, but the rest of it's going to look perfect. So that's kind of a little trick that I use for suspending things. I don't really wait until it's super like setting up, like it's coming out like it's like rubber or something like that. I'm kind of a chicken. I'd rather just waste a little bit of clear resin like that and get it in there. Another thing that I'm not 100% sure about is if you wait too long, then the pressure pot may not get the air bubbles out, or there may be other issues because you waited too long, kind of. So I kind of, like I said, I'd rather waste a little resin than do something. Now, I think, you know, in my shop, it's around 70 degrees right now. And the way that I do things, I usually pour the Alumilite at around 100, somewhere between 95 and 105, depending right now. This I'm gonna wait till maybe about, I don't know. We'll have to kind of see. I'm thinking in my head like 110, 115 maybe. Just kind of have to see what's going on in the cup here and how timid how chicken I get at the end when it's starting to set up. You bought the Easy Sphere cutting jig. Nice. You'll have to let me know how you like it. Like I said, I tried to point out there are some things that, you know, maybe other ones are better at, but I think that the Carter one, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It works pretty well, and if you understand some of the things that it does, it's kind of idiosyncrasies, then I don't think there's any problems with it. But I think it's the most versatile one. You know, it definitely, as far as I know, it can cut the biggest spheres, like out of the box. But it can also do small, and it can do a lot of different stuff. So it's not, you know, I'm pretty happy with it. So I hope you have good luck with it too. Let's see here. Let's see what the temperature's at. I like to mix it up a little bit. Oops, got the thing on. I can feel that it's warming up, but I want to say that maybe we're around 90 something, 95. Yep, 94. So we still got a ways, but it is thickening. I can feel it thickening up right now. Trying to, like, I'm kind of stirring it. This is another reason why you end up with a lot of air trapped in there, because of the way that you stir it. You just trap air, you know, in the cup. So, but I'm trying to kind of keep the chunks, big ones and small ones, like mix it up real well so that they're not just big ones on the bottom. But it is looking like it's kind of locking in place somewhat already. So I may not really need, we may not really need to go to some kind of crazy height, you know, temperature. You think your feed froze? I know. I should like move my hand while I'm reading the chat. It's tough. Carter sphere jig fit on I don't think it would work on a Shopsmith because it's a, you know, the tubes. I don't think it would work. That it's meant to go between flat, you know, traditional lathe ways, bed ways, like square and flat ones. So I don't know if that would work. I would imagine that there might be a jig out there that does work on a Shopsmith. I mean, Shopsmith people, there's a lot of support for Shopsmith stuff. There's a lot of accessories and things. I wouldn't doubt that somebody's made one. I don't know of one off the top of my head. We're about 98. I'm just kind of stepping back a little bit and looking. It really doesn't look like stuff is moving around too much in there. So I think rather than chance it, I think what we're going to do is we're going to pour it at about 105, which is probably about where I would pour things anyway, that I'm kind of trying to suspend right, you know, like I said, again, right now in the shop. And then we'll have to just kind of see how that works. You know, this is one of those things in resin casting where unless you can get good information from someone and the conditions and everything's all kind of the same as what you've got, you just need to test something out, see what happens, and then, you know, make an adjustment the next time. It may cost a little bit of money with some materials and, you know, quote unquote wasted resin the first time, but if you're going for something specific way of doing things, that's the only way that you can do it. Or you can just wait for me to screw it up and then tell you how to do it right. Or maybe hopefully I'll do it right the first time here. But It's looking pretty good. This is starting to get kind of concretey now. So we're at 100 degrees. So Alumilite is a brand. It's a company. And Alumilite Clear is a formula of resin that they sell. They sell many formulas. A lot of people in Europe use Amazing Clear Cast. It's an epoxy-based product. Alumilite Clear is a urethane-based. And they have lots. They must have like 10 to 15 different types. So a lot of people get kind of confused and they think that just Alumilite is Alumilite and that's just one thing, and it's not. Alumilite is the company. They sell silicones, they sell dyes, they sell all kinds of stuff. We're at 101 now, and it's starting to get pretty. I mean, this stuff, honestly, I could probably pour it right now, but I'm going to try and wait till that 105 number, just because I already wrote it down. 101.5. I don't know. I'm kind of getting to the... I think that this is pourable. $102.5, guys. We're getting close. I'm going to pull out my mold. Another thing I need to do is get my flat base. So I'm going to put I have a round disc piece of wood that I'm putting in the bottom of my pressure pot, and then I can just toss this mold directly in there. Otherwise, what ends up happening, even with CA Technologies pots, they're very slightly concave, and so you end up with banana-shaped, you know, bent blanks if you don't put something flat in the bottom there. You can use one of the racks as well. That works fine. Just for me, this is just as easy to put a piece of wood down in there. All right, so it's at 104. I'm going to call that pretty close. I bet that if I could find the exact middle of this cup, it would be about 105. So can you guys see what I'm doing here? Just want to make sure. It's like literally like pouring concrete. Okay, and I'm going to be pouring this deep because it's going to kind of shrink a little bit, let's say. Not really shrink, but the air will get compressed, and this mixture is going to be smaller in the end. Now, I want you guys to kind of take note. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fill these to the top of this thing. That's an inch and a half. And we'll measure these. I'm going to get at least one to the top. And we'll measure the blanks when I take them out to see, you know, how much volume did we lose. I think it would have probably been just as good to pour these at about 100. It probably would have been just fine. Now, one of the issues is there's a lot of material left in your cup. Now, there's not enough to make another blank, but you know, a lot of times you're going to have to, you're best off to, you know, scrape and do all this. That's quite a bit of material. In this case, it doesn't really matter, but let's just get these little drips in there. So as you can see, it is exactly to the top. It'll be interesting to see where this ends up when I demold these things. So we're going to toss this in our pressure pot over here. And we'll pressurize this to 70 psi. For resins, you generally want to be around, I recommend being over 40 psi. Mine can go up to 80. That's the max. So the big deal with your pressure pot is you don't want to go above what your pressure pot is rated for. That's the thing. Other than that, in general, I recommend just going as high as you can, given the pressure pot you have. There's really no drawback to going higher. You know, that's not going to hurt anything. But there is a minimum. Okay, so we did granite. let's do, Julie super chatted and she wanted to see the Tuscan green. So let's do that next, and we'll do it in these PVC pipes, okay? So let me stop real quick and see what you guys are up to. Pour it. Bruce is like, do it, just pour it, man. I know I'm getting scared. It's true. I was getting a little scared. Let's see here. Yeah, it's kind of like pouring concrete, but I mean that's normal. I'm pretty used to that. Yeah, it does look like if you just dumped a bunch of sand in there, that's pretty much what it would look like, you know. But that material, it's going to turn nice. It's not rock. It's not a bunch of rocks. It's a composite, you know, maybe, to be honest, it's probably just like polyester resin that's just been crushed up. I don't exactly know what it is, what it's made out of, but you're going to get a good bond and it's going to turn well. It's not rocks, basically. So, Carrie, nice, that's awesome. Do you post stuff on Instagram? Let me know, because I'd love to see what you're making. That's cool. I'm glad you can make it. So I have, I need to actually go on Turner's Warehouse website. I only have 2 of these 3/4 ones. So I'm going to use some of these, but frankly, I'd rather use the Turner's Warehouse ones. They're flat. What ends up happening with these ones, these work great too. And I use them sometimes. They're pretty quick to get in, you know. Where these, you kind of stuff it, but in the end, you have a nice flat bottom. You're not wasting a bunch of material. With these, there's gonna be a very slight tapered piece of, you know, resin there in the tube, and you have to cut it off basically. So it's just extra work if you're using tapered plugs, whereas the Turner's Warehouse ones are nice and flat. Plus, they give you a center thing, a little center nipple thing. All right, so I got to go over here, and these are brand new PVC pipes, and a lot of people have had issues where I say, you know, you want to spray pipes. The first time you use PVC, I recommend spraying the heck out of them. Going forward, once you've, you know, sprayed them a few times, usually then they don't stick at all. You know, once you've given them a mold release treatment a few times, cast in them and all that, you're usually good to go. But first time, give it a good amount, make sure all surfaces, and then you just won't have any issues demolding them. You don't really want it to be, I'm kind of, it's like running, you don't really want it to be like that. You usually shouldn't need to do that much, but let me show you guys what's going on in here. So, I sprayed this, but you can see there's like, it's like kind of foaming up in there. You usually don't need to go that far with it. And I have had issues where I think it was the mold release where it was really thick, and I got on clear blanks, I got some flashing or not flashing, blushing, the white kind of stuff, streaks on the outside of the blank. So just, you know, I'm kind of contradicting myself, but I recommend spray the heck out of it the first time. Get a good coating on all sides of your pipe, and then just keep doing it every single time. And eventually it'll get to the point where it's kind of coated, and you don't need to, as long as you're kind of using them regularly, you shouldn't need to really coat the heck out of it in the future. These are a little bit longer pipes as well, so that's actually kind of another reason why I would, in this case, I want to give it a good coating. The longer the pipe is, the harder it can be to get out. Okay. And I'm using clear PVC. If you want to use that, I have links to where I get it on my website on the tools I use page. You don't need to use clear PVC though. There's no, you know, necessity to do that. It's nice for video, obviously. And I like to see what's going on. In some cases, it is kind of very helpful to be able to see what you're doing. And then I got my little rack doohickey thing. Let's make sure that we're gonna be able to see what we're doing here. I'm gonna have to tilt that camera up a little bit. These pipes are so high you can't barely see what's going on. So let's do a little bit of tilting here. Okay. All right, so we're going to go with, I don't think that we're going to need, I have a feeling we're going to get, again, two blanks out of this. We probably don't need all four. But I'm going to keep this one. I think we're going to have a little extra that we can pour in this third pipe. Probably don't need four for one jar of this stuff. So let me get some gloves. And number one fan, I love the little pear guys. Those ones are awesome. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Nice. I'm starting to run pretty low on my Costco. I like the Costco brand nitrile gloves, you know, these ones. And like they don't have them. I haven't actually gone to Costco. I don't even really want to go in there, but I've had other people look for me and they're always out. And I'm hoping that they get them back because I love this brand. This is my favorite brand. I like the white ones. I don't like having dark colored gloves because you can never see if dyes don't show up as much. And if you get like the Alumilite dyes or the Divine Pigment dyes on your fingers, you get them all over. I get it all over my clothes, everywhere, because I don't know. But with the white ones, you totally know when you have dye on your fingers. And so I'm like, please get more of your. I need your gloves, Costco. Help me out. Okay, so number 2, we're doing PVC, PVC pipes. And slow set clear. Now you can use any resin with this. You know, you could use epoxy, you could use, I mean, heck, you could use polyester resin, I'm pretty sure. I don't think there would be any side effects with that. So any type of resin you want. Alumilite, epoxy, polyester resin, whatever you're using, it should work. I guess it would work with Alumilite white resin as well. I guess I've never really tried that, but it should work just fine. Yeah, so you shouldn't have any issues with any type of resin. Now, one thing I do want to mention with the PVC pipe. So you saw how clumpy that was to pour out. And we don't necessarily have to wait as long as I did on the last one. However, not a bad idea to have a little funnel. Now, this one's not going to just stay in place, obviously, so I'm going to have to kind of hold it. But, you know, you can use the plastic ones where it would actually have a spout that kind of holds it in place better. I don't really want to I have some, so I'll show you what I'm talking about, but I don't use them for casting, and I don't want to have to wait and clean it. So I'll show you a better option, kind of. These plastic funnels, though, they are easy to clean for the most part. You just pop it off. They're made out of HDPE. So that would be a better way to go, a real funnel. But, you know, in a pinch, you can use one of these little snow cone things. Another way, and I think we're going to do a couple of little different things here. I'll show you them both in use. I also picked up some 16-ounce paper cups. That'll make it nice because I can just squeeze it easier than you know, plastic ones. That's one of the drawbacks, I would say, to plastic cups. Most of them will just crack or they just really don't bend very well. Paper cups can make it a lot easier. And paper cups, this is something that I don't do usually, but a lot of other people use paper cups for their color swirls, and they just put like they bend, I don't want to ruin these cups, but they'll bend the heck out of like 3 or 4 cups and just pour them all at once. It's a really cool way to go. The one thing you need to watch out for is don't get wax cups, any cups that have a wax coating on them, and I hope that these don't. I don't think they do. These are like the coffee kind of cups, so hopefully they don't have wax or anything like that. That can react with resins, cause some issues. All right, so let's get this going here. I'm curious to see how this green one looks too, because I like green colored things. And so what this thing was, it's like one of the little drink cups, and I just snipped off the end. You got yourself a little funnel, and they're cheap. So we'll give that a shot, see how it works. We'll give the pinch the cup a shot and see how that works. So I'm going to be mixing in this cup this time. You can't. Another reason I don't use paper cups usually is because you can't see the resin when I'm mixing it on video. But so this time I think I'm actually. I don't know. I think that 150 grams of alumilite I think was a pretty good ratio. We could maybe go a little less. So let's try. Let's just try 130 grams. It's going to be, well, I'm trying to think. So it's going to make it a little bit thicker if you put less resin in, like off the bat. So I don't know. Let's just go with 150 again. We'll get a couple different tests, a couple different types of molds. And, you know, when we get the results, if there needs to be some changes, we can do that. So we'll go 150 grams. That's 75 times 2. Part A and Part B. And then we're going to add our, this one's called Tuscan Green. And it does, I don't know. The picture seems better. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I also have a pretty good light source this time. So Tuscan Green. 1 jar. Okay, so we got our pipes, we got our Tuscan Green, we got our little funnel thing. I'm going to put my scissors back. Let's get started here. So 75 grams of Part A. Whoa, 76.5. I'm actually going to dump some of that out because I want to get 150 even. Okay, 74.8. There we go. 75. Part A. $73. Ooh, perfect. 75. Okay. So here's my resin. You probably can't really see much in there. I think on this time I'm going to use a deeper, little bit deeper stir stick. One thing that I want to mention also, if you live in a pretty humid area, one thing that you might want to avoid using is these wood stir sticks. Because they can, you know, grab a bunch of moisture if they're just sitting out. So it might actually be better to use a plastic stir stick or a silicone, you know, different type of stir stick if you're in an area that's prone to humidity. You could be mixing in. I think it's kind of a long shot. There's a lot of other, you'd probably have more issues just from the ambient humidity in the air, but you could run into issues with that, introducing moisture. Some people don't. It's kind of a tough one to think about. You don't think of it, the stir stick. Let's see here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so I think we're pretty well mixed here. So I'm actually going to tilt this guy down. Hopefully you can kind of see in the cup when I mix this in. So here's our Tuscan Green. That looks pretty awesome, doesn't it? Little green chunks, a little bit of red or something in there. Pretty cool. Okay, so oh yeah. I have no clue if the dust of this stuff is very good for you. Probably not. Probably not terrible, but at the same time, you probably don't really want to be breathing it. Not a bad idea to maybe put a mask on or just turn a fan on behind you so it's blowing it a different direction. Yeah, I think this is an interesting mixture. It's a little less green than, you know, calling it Tuscan green that I can see right now. It seems like the other colors are kind of taking over, but this might be one of those cases where in the end, you know, the bigger green chunks may kind of really stand out in the final blank when you start turning it up. All right, so it's just a waiting game now. We need to wait for it to get thick. We'll be good to go. Found a little green chunk. I'm going to put it back in my green jar. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, and I'm in Nevada. Like, you know, the humidity here, when I talk about that, if you're, I think, I'm not an expert when it comes to humidity because it's because Nevada has, like here, it's so low that I just consider it nil, you know. I mean, my shop is maybe at the highest, it maybe gets to 20%, which is not really affecting anything. And then the other thing is, more what the problem is you need to look at the equilibrium moisture content of materials like wood. I mean, it's like 10% at the highest, maybe, you know, probably lower than that here. So, you know, I don't have to really worry so much about wood, you know, sticks holding on to moisture and all that stuff. But if you're above, I would even just say 40%, you're starting to get to, and if you're up in the 80% area, like you're going to probably have some issues with certain resins. Alumilite clear, urethane resins usually do not like moisture and humidity. So you're probably better off using an epoxy at that point. But, you know, if it's, like I said, if it's pretty high humidity and things tend to generally hold on to moisture, then I would probably, you know, not use the wooden sticks. This is an interesting mixture. It's kind of, there's some cool looking little colors in there. A little bit of white, some kind of like a terracotta sort of look. And then the green, and then some darker kind of, looks like darker grays, blacks. Small pieces. Pretty cool. I'm excited. If Maker Central goes ahead, I'm not entirely certain what's going on. I really want to get there. The biggest problem, the reason, I would say yes, but the concern is we're still at a point where you just have to kind of like, I don't know yet. We have to wait and see because, you know, I would probably be able to go to some events, but the international travel thing, if for some reason if it's a little sketchy whether we're going to be able to get back into the US, that's one of the big problems. You know, and but it's so far away at this point that I can't even say what's going to happen. We'll just kind of have to see what ends up happening over the next couple months. But as long as everything kind of starts chilling out, you know, and the data shows that things are kind of dropping off with the instances of the problem, I don't know, whatever, then yeah, I think we'll go. It also, I think, kind of depends on Easy Wood Tools. I'm going to be demonstrating at their booth. So like if they don't have a booth, then I probably can't go. I probably can't afford it if I'm not demonstrating for them. So there's a couple little things, but as long as everything's good to go, then yes, I do want to come. Pearlescent additives and micas. Yeah, they're the same thing. For the most part, I think that most people would, you know, your pearly things. So mica powders, it's just what people call these additives. I think, it's kind of a general bulk name of things. But yeah, like, so your brands, Pearl X, Caster's Choice, eye candy. I'm sure there's millions of other ones. Those are ones I can think of off the top of my head. The ones that I use, Dust. They're all the same thing, basically. Mica powders, I think, is what type of thing they are. But yeah, pearl powders are those. Well, it kind of depends. You know, I wouldn't. The big thing, I think the biggest problem is so anyway, Jim, Monkey Skull. The biggest problem with humidity and alumilite, it's going to cure fine. It's not like it's going to be rubbery or not cure or do something. The problem that you have is, if you're going for a dead clear casting or a very transparent one in, let's say, you know, a hybrid something blank, the problem is you can get white streaks in it. That's what ends up happening. It can be kind of cloudy looking. That's what moisture does to urethane resin. So if you're adding a ton of mica powder or something else in there, colors, dyes, you know, then it doesn't even matter, really. I don't think that there's really any cause for concern at that point. But if you're going for something like a, you know, sphere blanks, you know, where it's like half transparent resin or clear, and, you know, that's where you're going to run into issues. Or label blanks, those are the biggest problem. You know, dead clear things, that's where the humidity problem really kicks in. Other than that, though, it works just fine. In fact, I mean, Alumilite Clear is probably one of the easiest resins to use, I think. I think people have a lot more issues. You know, epoxy tends to take longer to mix properly. And so, you know, Alumilite, when it's pretty much clear in the cup, you're good to go. As long as there's nothing else kind of stuck, you know, you scraped the sides and bottom good and there's no other little bits. As long as it's cleared up, it's ready to pour and you're good to go. Another thing that's interesting is it hardens like right away. It hardens faster than epoxies, especially on smaller pores. So that is one kind of advantage, but the issue is that those white streaks, it just tends to do that. It doesn't like moisture in that sense. Alumilite is not a polyester resin. That's a totally different thing. Alumilite is a urethane resin. Well, Alumilite Clear. So again, we're talking, Alumilite has lots of different resins. They don't have any that are polyester resin. That is a type of resin. There's also epoxy. That's another type. That's like Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, right? There's three different types of base resins. Epoxy is one. Polyurethane is another. Polyester is another. And there's even some other types, but in general, those are your casting resins. So Alumilite Clear and Clear Slow Set, the regular and slow set, that's a urethane. Amazing Clear Cast is an epoxy. Polyester resin is the stinky, nasty stuff. That I never use that. And then epoxies are, you know, like your Total Boat, Amazing Clear Cast, and all those ones. Entropy resins, that kind of thing. All right, so let's see what temperature we're at. I know we're just kind of sitting here, but this is how resin works, guys. It's even worse with the slow setting resins. Man, we're only at 89. Only at like 90 degrees so far. It's a little bit chillier in the shop. It's been kind of chilly in this area lately. Like only getting into the 50s, 50, maybe 60. We're just starting to get some kind of a couple more warmer days, but it's still really windy out there. And so the shop's been a little bit chilly. It's only 70 degrees right now. Takes a little longer for this stuff to get going. That is not going to be the case in about a month. It's going to be hot and I'm going to have no time. Polyester doesn't always chip. They are very known for it. One of the problems though is it's very brittle. Like if you drop, like Curtis Seebeck has this video where he just drops a polyester resin pen blank on the ground and it just shatters. And then like Alumilite, it bounces. Like it's much more resilient, so it's not like brittle like that. However, you can make polyester resin blanks that are not as chippy. They're still going to be kind of, it's brittle natured. It's just a part of the specifications of it generally. But you can make them a little bit better, but I just don't like the stuff. It smells terrible. It's more toxic to work with than most of your other resins. And it's a little bit brittle. Now, it does have some advantages in some cases, but typically none that I find useful ever for what I do. So it's not worth it to me to use that stuff. Another problem that most polyester resin formulas have is it shrinks a lot. So it's not very good for worthless wood because it's going to shrink back, you know, from your wood and all that stuff. And this is actually shrinkage. I talk a lot about the corners rounding in a mold and stuff, but this is technically, they do shrink a little bit, all these resins, but polyester is the highest shrinkage factor, and it's like noticeable. Polyester resin, you really don't need to spray PVC pipes because it's going to shrink enough that it'll just fall right out when it's fully cured. So lots of interesting little facts. Good questions, guys. But yeah, it's not terrible. I mean, you know, people use it. People still sell it, buy it, use it, but anyway. Yeah, I got a couple of different videos. I have one on the Harbor Freight one, and I have one on the CA Technologies, although they have changed some stuff. So some of the things on the CA Technologies lid is going to be slightly different. No cause for major concern. But, you know, you'll kind of get the idea of how to convert one that way. Jake Thompson has a really good video, too, as well as, I don't know, does Doug have one? I don't know. Jake and Casey Martin has a good one, too. So there's lots of good videos out there if you're looking to convert your pressure pot into a casting one. We're at 92.5, guys. We're getting there. I'm going to pour this one earlier. So let's pour these at, I don't know. Let's just kind of split the difference. I'm going to say 98 degrees because I was kind of between 95 and 100. Let's just pour it at 98 degrees. Another thing that I'm writing down here is it's 70 degrees in my shop. That's important because these numbers can change slightly if it's, you know, warmer or colder in your shop. It's good to know those numbers. Like when it's 85 degrees in here in the summer, I have to wait longer because the resin starts out thinner. You know, the warmer the resin is just sitting in the can, the thinner it gets. Colder, the thicker. So, shooting for 98 here. Let's get to 98. 95. It's getting close, guys. It's getting close. Woo! So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to try my makeshift, doesn't stay on there, funnel. Not a big deal. I'll just hold it with one hand and then pour with the other. But we'll do the funnel one first, and then we'll do just kind of squeezing the cup. So we're at about 95. What was I going for? 98. We're at 95. I really just want to pour it right now. It's probably good enough. But I'm trying to, you know, follow the rules here, and if I'm going to write down 98, I should maybe do that. I'm a rule breaker, though, guys. It happens. Thanks for putting those links in there, Jen. I appreciate it. 145 people watching. Holy cow. I don't have those. Where are those statistics? I have the super chat little window up, so I don't see. Looks like mine says 15 concurrent. There it is. It's up in the top. I think that's wrong. I have a feeling that that is actually wrong. Okay, so we're at 96.5. We're going to call it good. Close enough. Now, I want to make sure that this camera, we're going to end up being at 98 by the time I actually do this. Okay, so I'm going to take my stick out for now because otherwise it's just going to get in my way. Just going to drop that there. So we can do our cup. You can see, you know, your funnel, it's going to kind of, oh, that's going pretty quick. Whoa. I wasn't watching what I was doing, guys. I think we're more than good. I went overboard. Overflow. Overflowing. I'm going to try and save it. I'm going to try and save the day. Tip number 5. I don't know what we're on, but tip number 5 for today. Pay attention to what you're doing. it helps. I'm going to actually wipe this off because otherwise it's just going to be kind of a pain later when I'm demolding everything. Now, it's not a bad idea to kind of tap these things if there's any major air bubbles. I was talking, not paying attention. I'm just going to top this off. Because again, this is going to compact a little bit, and I want to make sure that I get as much in there as possible. So again, I've filled it to the top. I want to try and do that for these, and we'll have to see in the end how they end up working out. Now, I'm just going to pour this out of the cup. I think it should be fine in this case, but if you're, you know, a little bit worried, or if you've mixed it till it's really thick, you might want to have a funnel handy. Funnel kind of gets in the way because you're not really paying attention to what's going in the tube. You're paying attention to the funnel. Bloop, 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 bloop. Let's see how many we get out of this. We might easily get 4, actually. We'll see. It's like a milkshake, like a frosty. Yeah, I think I could have easily poured this at like 95. A little bit overboard there, so I'm going to tap this one down. Just try and kind of free any air bubbles that may want to be happening in there. And let's see what we can get out of this one. It's getting pretty warm. I would say it's probably, would have probably been easier to pour this when it was a little bit thinner to start pouring, because I don't know what temperature we're at this point, but this is getting kind of hard to pour. Seems like the bigger chunks are in this blank, so they might have kind of settled to the bottom and I wasn't really getting a good mix. I don't know. Couple little, you know, notes and things to think about when you're working with this stuff. That's one of the things about a see-through cup that might have been a little bit easier if it was see-through. This is pretty thick stuff here. Okay, I'm going to call that good. Good enough, okay? So, I'm going to kind of, one thing you got to watch out with these, the red ones, they kind of tend to like grab onto, like suction to things. So if you're going to tap them, just be a little bit careful. I'm just going to take a little bit of that off of there just so it doesn't get all over the place. And we'll pop this in the next pressure pot and we'll be good to go. All right. So we did the Tuscan green, we did the granite, and we're going to do, I think for the final thing, we're going to do some, we're just going to pour a brick, and we're going to, I think what do you guys think? I was thinking, let's just dump all these colors together, and we'll have like a super crazy multicolored thing. And then add just like white or black resin. Something like that. Make a brick of it. We'll have to kind of see if I can get a full brick in the 6 blank mold. Might have to go for 3, I don't know. So, I don't know, let me know what you guys think about that idea. I do want to make some vibrant colored ones. And I wanted to make a brick. Problem is, one of these is not going to make, I don't think it's going to fill up a 3 blank mold. I think 3 of them is going to be too much though, so I don't know. So 150 grams. I'm trying to think. Well, it might be close on a 3 blank mold if we did one color. Might be pretty close. What do you guys think? Mix them up? Or should we just go with one color and see if we can get that to work in a 3 blank mold? Fish tank gravel. Yeah, that's true. I don't really think we're going to be able to swirl the colors particularly well. I don't know how that'll really work. Maybe, but yeah, okay. Actually, I can kind of see what you're saying. That would be cool. I like that idea. That's not bad. I'm not so. Yeah, okay. So I kind of understand what you're saying. So we'd mix like 3 cups and then pour like green. You know, it'd be kind of thick, and it would work. We could kind of separate them out into like zones in the mold. What do you guys think of that? Or do you want me to like literally mix them up completely? Let me know. Let me know. Like pour them into a cup and stir them around before I dump them into resin. That's what I'm thinking. Mix them up. Only because mix up is winning. I'm gonna wait a second because I know we have a little bit of a time lag, but I do like that idea where we kind of separate. I like that. That's actually kind of cool. Where's my water? Let me get me some water. Yeah, I use acetone. You can use denatured alcohol. I find I like acetone. It's a little harsher, you know, it's a little bit more, you don't want to be like breathing it and all that kind of stuff. You don't really want it on you, but acetone dries faster and it's a little bit of a stronger solvent. But denatured alcohol should clean up any resin, you know, that you're using as well. Yeah, like Neapolitan ice cream. I like that. Okay, I really like the Neapolitan thing. Let's try and do that because I've never done that before. I think we all know it's very easy to picture what these are going to look like if I just, you know, jumble them all, mix them up together. Frankly, it may be kind of unimpressive, really, you know, in the end. And, you know, one color would be kind of cool, but we can do that some other time. I might kind of play around with that. But let's try and do three separate ones. So I'm trying to think of what would be the best way to go. This mold would hold about 280 to 300 grams. 280 grams of just resin would fill this about an inch or so. So, you know, if we're doing like a 1-to-1 thing, I don't know. Actually, in theory, 150 grams might fill this thing. Let's overfill it a little bit. I'm gonna just go with, you know, we got 3 colors, so let's go with instead of 150 grams, let's go with like 70. So what I'm trying to explain what I'm thinking in my head. So 150 grams total, part A and part B resin. You know, we were doing that with 1 jar of these things. What I'm thinking is, you know, we want to split it out into 3 different cups. So 150 divided by 3 would be 50 in each cup. And then we would need to, I don't know, take a third or so of these. I'm thinking let's go with 70 in each cup total, part A and part B, which is going to be 210, I think, right? 3 times 7. 70 times 3, yes, 210 grams total. And I think that should fill our mold up. We want to fill it, you know, kind of deep. So let's see what that does. I think that'll work okay. Oh, and by the way, so this pen, I guess, is dead, and I'm kind of pissed, but I have a new one on the way that I think might actually work a little bit better. They have some interesting stuff. So if you have the need for saving your notes, this is a digital pen, and it basically has a little camera in there. And when it was working, you have to use their, you know, special notebooks, the Neo Notes notebooks, but they have like a dot matrix or something on the pages. they're not that much. I think they're pretty comparable to a normal notebook, but you have to use this paper and, you know, this pen, and it saves what you write, which is great because I don't, you know, I can digitize everything. And let's say there was a fire in here. If I have everything backed up, but it's still handwritten, you know, I'm good to go. But the pen quit working, so I got a new one on the way. So we're going to go with 3 blank. I call this my 3 blank mold. What I'm going to do is we're going to hit this with some stoner real quick and get it in the oven. And actually, I'm going to call it Neapolitan. I love that. That's exactly what we're going for. 3 blank Metropolitan, or Neapolitan. 3 blank I don't know how to spell that, Politan. 3 blank mold, and we're going to go with slow set clear. So we're going to go with 210 grams total, 3 different colors, separate, 70 grams in each cup. So that's 35. I'm going to just mix up the entire amount in 1 cup and then pour it off into these smaller 70. Trying to think how much this is. We're gonna go with these cups because it's gonna be kind of thick probably. And then 210. Yeah. So I can do 105 times 2 in this cup, and then I'll dump off, make it 70 in each cup, and then we'll add. Question is, we're going to try and we'll estimate just kind of, we'll dump our SpinGems in a cup about the same, you know, volume as each one of those things. So hopefully that all made sense. You'll see in 1 second. So 70 grams in each one. 105 times 2. We're going to go with, so we're going to go with, this one's called fluorescent green, fluorescent yellow, and fluorescent pink. I did use the fluorescent pink a little bit. I was doing a little kind of an experiment. So I've used a little bit of that for something, but none of these other ones. So just do green, pink, and yellow. And I don't know exactly how much we're going to need, so we'll just kind of wing it when we get there. Okay, zeroed that out. Let me go get some gloves. Trying to use these purple ones as much as possible. I really don't like them so much, though. They tend to rip a lot, too. Okay, so let's see here. I'm freaking myself out with math. I know. Well, I got to think, you know, and I want to make sure I do it right. So 105 part A. Oh, I mean, it is on the dot. Oh, it went up to 105.1. We're okay, though. 105. Look at that. Boom. And then another 105. That wasn't as good that time. Almost there. I think that's going to be good. There it is. Okay, so let me move my little cups over here. Whoa. This guy was getting excited. So let's get this mixed up here. Mixed and ready. Oh, it's not like I'm mixing so fast that it's like I can't focus on that. You're like the Flash. All right, Hugh, have a good one. Thanks for joining the fun. Nice. Todd's already in on these SpinGems. I think they're pretty fun. It's a good product. Like I said, I used other ones that were similar, but it wasn't. I don't think they're. I think the SpinGem stuff is going to really look like, if you're going for a granite type rock look, I think this stuff is going to nail it. You know, if you're going for that fluorescent lime rock look. No, the other ones though, the blended, I think they call it, blended ones, I think those are going to be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to zero this out. We're going to go for, let me get some little wipey things here going. 70 grams in each one of these cups is what we're shooting for here. $70 and yeah, probably should have used those smaller cups, but I think it'll be all right. It may take a little bit longer since there's not much, since the volume of the resin in each one of these cups is a little bit more spread out, flat. It may take a little bit longer to get the temperature up on these. Not a big deal, but I just think it would have been a little faster to go the other way. Okay, so these, there is slightly different sizes of this stuff, but I think, you know, we're good. Now looking at this, I'm actually going to put a mark on my cup that's about the same height. And that way I know I'm just going to fill this cup and then dump it. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Not particularly well. I'm going to kind of sort of scoot you guys. I'm going to drop you guys down a little bit lower. Kind of raise it up like that. I don't know. Hopefully that'll work. Yeah, that should work okay, right? Yeah, you can kind of see what I'm doing. Let's scoot these guys kind of back a little bit, and then, so let's just dump this in here. That's good enough. Look at that stuff, guys. Woo! All right, now if you want to be super crazy about this, I would recommend blowing. You don't want to get any green dust or anything. Then you'll want to blow the cup out that you're using. You know, I went and blew it out, so it's nice and clean. We don't have to worry about contaminating, cross-contaminating yellow fluorescent dust with our green. Where's my mark? You guys can, I don't know if you guys can see. Can you see the mark? My hand's in the way, I guess. There you go, now you can see it. And I can too. It's about good. Doesn't have to be exact. Look at that. Fluorescent yellow. Okay, and then our last one, I guess. Move these guys up here, put this there, get another stick. I'm going to go blow out my cup. I don't want cross-contamination going on here. There we go. And we'll give you guys the view of the line there. Okay. Oh, that's a little bit low. Kind of pulled out a lot of the, I was doing an experiment trying to pull out some of the bigger, let's just dump this whole thing in there. The bigger chunks of the pink, so it's going to be a little bit slightly different. They're a little bit the medium-sized ones. All right. Woo! This is some vibrant colors going on, guys. Vibrant. Look at that. Oh, boom. All right, so now it's just kind of a waiting game here. Oh, I was going to add a little color to the resin, but it's okay. I don't think it's going to make any difference. That is something else you can do is, you know, add black or add white, which I guess technically I could add a little bit of dye right now, but let's just keep it the way it is. That way we're not messing anything up. I want to see what this Neapolitan thing looks like. So let's not confuse the issue. We can do that another time. Or if you guys try it out, I'd love to see what you guys, you know, make and can post and tag me on Facebook, or if you make a video, check it out. Easter on drugs. It really is. Can't argue with that. All right, so let's put this thing away. Oh, whoa. Get in there. Go to your home. All right, now the waiting game starts. So what's everybody up to? Waiting for the pressure pot. Come off back order. Oh man. '80s vibe, yeah, there we go. Definitely. It's rad. Fluorescent traffic lights, yeah. Huh. There we go. I think we should do it this way. I like that. It's Cooper's birthday. Nice. Well, happy birthday. Bradley's editing the website. Because you got so many orders, did it crash? Did I crash your site? Everybody go buy some SpinGems. All right. Did you guys all see the Woodcraft article? I know I showed this on Wednesday, so if you saw this already, I apologize for bringing it back up. But while we're sitting here waiting, did you see Carl got on the cover of Woodcraft magazine? And it's a really good article. It's both, for once, Carl and Robin got in there. Let's see, where does it say about her? But it's really neat. It's a good article about what they do, because they do some really awesome stuff. But it also was great because it was about resin casting stuff. Really kind of focused on that. It was a great article. I give Woodcraft props for that article. It was classy. Nobody deserves a little bit of notoriety than Carl, you know. Carl and Robin. She does a lot of stuff for you know their work. So it was great that they both got mentioned in there. Let's see here. Bride unit. Yeah, it's not really like Neapolitan, but like that's the idea kind of thing, you know. I know, I'm thinking about framing it. I should dunk it in resin. Commemorate the occasion. Denise likes the neon. Yeah, these are pretty cool. They got all kinds of colors. I'm going to go head over to the, I can actually switch to the desktop. We got a ways. Hey, there you guys are. We got a ways to go here. So shop, this is SpiroCraft.com. And I don't know exactly. The easiest way that I found is just to go SpinGems in the search bar, and it pulls up. Look at all these crazy things. They got black, terracotta. That could be really cool. The white, actually. Purple, blue, turquoise. That's neat. Yellow, and then they got these fluorescent blue, red oxide kind of. So in effect, also, you could kind of make your own granite look, I'm guessing, with all these other ones. They call them the mixed SpinGems, if you wanted to. And then they have these ones that are blended, they call them. That's the kind of granite look. Green jade, that would probably be pretty cool. We did Italian something. Tuscan green is what we did today, but the green jade is probably pretty neat. We did granite today. Got cinnamon, there's the Tuscan green. So it gives you a little picture of what they kind of look like, and I've never used the Spiro Craft resin. I'm sure it works just fine. Pretty cool. They got lots of different ones. Let's see where we're at temperature-wise. I have a feeling we got a little ways to go. Let's try pouring these at like a lower temperature. Let's try like 95. Just see what happens. It's not such a big deal because I don't really, you know, in this case, if larger chunks ended up at the bottom, I mean, I don't know if it really makes any difference. But so I don't know how well that experiment's going to be, but at least it'll be easier to pour probably. All right, so where are we at here? 85, 86 maybe. Give it another little mix. Oh, that one says 89. We're getting close. Getting a little bit closer. 89, 88. And 88.5. Pretty cool. All right. Where's my channel? There we go. Yeah, Bradley mixes them up. Bradley's not afraid to get a little crazy with the SpinGems. Actually, another thing that I didn't even mention, because my focus is usually making blanks, but what these are kind of like why the initial intention for these types of things were for filling, cracks and stuff in blanks or whatever, filling channels of stuff, kind of like the opals a lot of people do or turquoise. So this is, I guess, inlay. That's the word that I'm really thinking of. So, and if you're doing inlay, this stuff will go a lot longer, a lot farther. But for, it works great for full blanks though too. So that's what I wanted to kind of show off. What, when I saw them, what I'm thinking, how I would use them. All right, so we're at like 90. Might be a little higher than that. Get in there, 90. We're at 90. So let me write down. Let's see here. We're going to pour at 95. Okay, I'm just making sure that I had everything in my notes. Luckily, one of the nice things for me is this is being recorded on video, so I can get away with sometimes on the stream not taking notes, but that doesn't work for me when I'm just, doing stuff in my shop, not videotaping stuff. So I really definitely, keep good notes. Otherwise, every once in a while I forget to write something down and I'm like, dang it, what did I do? And I don't have it on video or anything. I have no other way to get it. So make sure to keep as much in your notebook as possible, and I guarantee you're going to get better, at casting. When I started doing that, and it was like 2 years into me when I started resin casting, it probably took me 2 years before I realized, like, oh, I should probably take notes, And the minute that I started doing that, a lot of you guys probably know that one of the biggest things that I sell pen blank wise is the team color ones. And especially if you're trying to nail, like specific colors or doing certain things like that. I mean, I would sit there and just rack my head against the wall trying to get, test after test. And it made it so much easier to repeat stuff when I started doing the notebook. Much easier to get repeatable results and dial things in slowly if you have notes. And really, it doesn't matter. That goes for anything that you're doing. It's not just resin casting. Really, it's a good idea to have a notebook for any type of thing. If you're a photographer, or, if you're studying for something, obviously, we take notes in school. keep a notebook, and you're just going to be better off regardless of what you're trying to do. So it's at like 92, 93. I'm going to pull the mold out here and get things kind of ready to pour. Let me get the camera set up, and we should just be right about at 95, I would say. Get this set up so it's good. That looks like it's centered pretty well. All right, so let's give it a stir, see where we're at. If it's close, we'll give it a pour. 93 it says. Let's see what this pink is. .5. I'm going to call that good. So this probably would have been smarter to do with these paper cups, but one thing that you could do, I'm trying to think if I have anything, like I can kind of put like I have this little plastic thing that'll kind of help. You can kind of dam up areas. Let me get this thing in my hand okay. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Hopefully this was enough resin. Yeah, this is a little bit more difficult when it's thick like this. Let me pour some. This would be a really good two-person job, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour this in. I know that you guys probably can't really see exactly what I'm doing. I'm just going to pour this in. It's only half and half right now, but what I can do is I can take this out. We're doing this kind of on the fly here. Take that out. I'm going to get the rest of this yellow in the cup or in the mold. Okay, sorta. I'm gonna give it a scrape and get all of our little SpinGems out of there as much as we can. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of scrape back the yellow and then pour the pink in. There we go. So I got that about as good as I can get it. We do have more green that I need to dump out here, but it's okay. I think everything's going to work all right. I'm not worried. Okay, I'm going to call that good. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to wipe this off a little bit, just so we're not getting green at this end. I don't want any green. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick this in here, and we're just going to kind of suck this back. I need to stir this up a little bit, the pink. I'm just going to kind of pull that back. I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm having a tough time with only two hands here. And I think this should work out fine once we like cut these blanks up. I think everything's going to be pretty cool. It's not going to be a straight, division line, but I think it should be good enough. Hopefully you guys can kind of see what's going on. Nope, you can't. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this guy out. I'm just going to scrape the rest out of this cup here. making a mess a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, I'm going to call that good. So we've done a pretty good job. That was a good amount for this mold, I think. It is going to kind of flatten out a little bit once we pressurize it, and I know that, you know, the top looks like the pink's kind of overtaking the yellow, but I think the center of the blank's going to actually be okay. Better way to go is to try and, you know, rig something where you have the divisions in your mold. Silicone molds make that a little bit easier to hold, you know, like walls up. Whoa. In there, but I think it's going to turn out pretty cool. I think it looks a little weird right now, but I think in the end, once we get this thing cut up, it's going to be pretty cool. And it'll look like what we want. So we'll have to kind of see though. So make sure, you know, obviously somebody got mad because I didn't demold. All I did was cast things and they didn't get to see what it looked like on the live stream. So, you know, this is a live stream. But if you want to see what these look like, make sure to follow me on Instagram and or Facebook. And I'll post the... What the heck? Something's wrong with my... There we go. My nozzle. Something was wrong with my nozzle. Anyway, follow me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll post pics when I demold these tomorrow, most likely. We'll get a demolding video up, and then on Instagram or Facebook, and then I'll probably get another one once I get them cut up, because that's actually what I find with these a lot of times, especially, you know, the thicker ones. Once you get them cut up, that'll really show you what, you know, what are we really looking at with these things. So I'm pretty excited to see how these turn out. It should be pretty awesome. So real quick, I'm going to just kind of clean off that scraper thing that I was using to kind of in between the stuff, and then we'll see what you guys have in the chat, any questions or anything like that. Try and answer a few of them, and then I got to get going because it's already 5, guys. Jeez. It happens. It happens when you're resin casting. Time flies when you're resin casting. That's what I find. Let me clean up this goop. And now I can focus on you guys, see what you're up to. Let's see here. Ice cream. Oh, man. Yeah, eventually we should do a little bit more playing around with those things. Try one, you know, mixed up like that. That would be kind of cool. Hey, Kim Tippin, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. So I don't actually see any questions from you guys. Jeez, not seeing any questions. But so a big thank you to Bradley for hooking me up with those things. He sent those in so I could kind of play with them and try them out. Like I said, I did a little experimenting. I used the pink ones for one specific thing that I was kind of trying out. And but I kind of was saving the rest, but I put them in this drawer down here, and I just didn't even remember that I had them for a while, or I knew I had them, but it just didn't cross my mind. So I'm glad I thought of those on Wednesday. So again, big thank you to Bradley. If you want to pick up some of these SpinGems, enter code NVW15 when you check out. I think that's good for any of the Spiro, what was it? What did he say? Any of the Craft products. I think that's what he said. So that's good for 24 hours. So, you know, people that are watching the replay, it'll be good through Saturday, the 23rd, but then after that, it's going to be done. So I've had people get mad at me because I don't tell them when the things are over. So if it's after the 23rd, it won't be good. But big thank you to Bradley for hooking me up. I literally texted him about like an hour before I started this thing up, and I was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to do this. Can I get a discount code? Would that be cool? I felt so bad, but I thought I was hoping that maybe he was just kind of hanging out doing something on the website, and it would be easy for him to do it, and he totally said, yeah, no problem. So SpiroCraft.com, there's links down in the show notes. There's a couple. Here's a link directly to the SpinGems. I did go and get that before we started the stream here. Hey, thanks, Randy. I appreciate it. Here's a link to those SpinGems. And, and don't forget here's the link to Spiro Craft, and that's Bradley McAllister. Here's the link to their YouTube channel. So if you didn't hear me kind of explaining it before, so Bradley does some live streams. He's a really, really like world-class turner. He usually does the woodworking shows. He does demos at those. And since those are shut down, he's been doing a lot of live streams, filling in, doing types of demos at his place, doing demos basically. So you can kind of see some interesting stuff that he's doing. And then he always does a live stream on Monday called Monday Methods, and he just covers some wood turning topic. So if you're into wood turning, Bradley knows what he's doing. He is awesome at turning. He's a professional wood turner. So it's a good channel to watch. Make sure to follow him over there. And then he's the guy behind spirocraft.com. And they got all kinds of wood turning tools. They got some resins. They got obviously these SpinGems, all kinds of different stuff over there. So anyway, go give him a follow. He's out there on Facebook and Instagram as well. And YouTube, follow him, subscribe to his channel so you don't miss those. And you'll learn some good stuff from him. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a wonderful night. Let me stop real quick. There was a few things that kind of came in. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, I don't think so. I think everybody... Milan's talking how to get the carbon not to mash up. I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about. Carbon. Sorry, I don't know what exactly you're talking about on that one. Oh, for like on the tubes, if you're doing that, you just got to kind of pull it and make sure. If carbon fiber on tubes, it's just, you got to kind of pull it tight, I think, if that's what you were asking about. So yeah, it's 1 a.m. All right, I'm going to sign off, you guys. Thank you guys for joining the fun tonight. And we'll probably fire up some streams next week. We'll continue doing the kind of lockdown streaming thing. Everything's going pretty good with that. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been knocking out a lot more projects than I normally do because we've been doing those streams. I think next week on Monday, I'm just looking at what I got over here. I got a couple of ideas of things that we can do. I want to try this thing out. I want to make the, just basically a paperweight. It's going to be a pretty simple project. I got stickiness all over me. So maybe that, or I need to turn up some of these, I forget what the, myoporum, I don't know. This crazy wood that we made. So I got a couple of pen blanks. They had a couple of funky ends, and I just picked one of the glow-in-the-dark ones. So I'm not sure what we're going to do, but probably one of these guys on Monday. And we'll turn it up and see how it goes. So I hope you guys have a great evening, and I will see you guys all on the next stream. Oh, and don't forget the giveaway announcement. The winner is on Sunday. So that'll be Sunday's video here on YouTube. So have a great night, guys, and I will see you on the next stream.